Now, just on the subject of Joe Biden and his, shall we say, mental faculties, this is a fascinating thing here. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was doing an interview with a Charlotte News reporter, and in the middle of the interview, she was asked about whether President Biden has dementia. Have a listen to this.
When I told a number of people that I was talking to you today, it was interesting, though. They all said, would you please just ask her, does the president have dementia? So before I move on from that, does he?
Mark, I can't even believe you're asking me this question. That is an incredibly offensive question to ask. And with that, thank you so much, Mark. Have an amazing, amazing day.
Wow. She hung up. Wow.
Mick, KJP wasn't happy there, and of course that usual thing she does where she gets all outraged that somebody would ask a question that everybody's asking. Tell us what you reckon about this.
James, a couple different things. I work for that radio station. That's my hometown station. I know the gentleman who's asking those questions. He's one of the most mild-mannered, down-the-middle sort of newsmen you are ever going to meet, and to treat him like that, you could hear the tone of her voice. It's the same sort of tone in his voice that Chuck Schumer had when he was castigating Benjamin Netanyahu last week. Democrats love to talk down to people who don't agree with them, and that's exactly what Karine Jean-Pierre said today. By the way, notice in her answer, there was a longer answer. She didn't say no, which I think is absolutely stunning to me. All you have to do is say, well, Mark, I'm not like the question, but the answer is no. What's your next question? But she didn't do that. So look, if she were a Republican press secretary, or if he were a Democrat or a woman or an African-American, they would be calling for KJP's head today on a silver platter. They'd be demanding, the media in this country would be demanding she be fired. But you know for a fact that's not happening.
We know it's not happening, and we all know why. Now, Mick, I need your help on another thing here. This is why I have you on every week, because I need your help with a lot of things. And this one here is RFK Jr.'s VP pick. It's a woman named Nicole Shanahan. She's a 38-year-old lawyer. She used to be married to the co-founder of Google. What do we know about her? And will this help or hinder the Kennedy campaign, which the poll numbers are suggesting is doing some pretty interesting things, particularly to Biden's numbers?
Yeah, what do we know about her? There's one thing we need to know about her. It's the reason that Kennedy picked her for vice president. She's fabulously wealthy. This is the woman who single-handedly bankrolled his ad during the Super Bowl that cost $4 million. That's why he put her on the ticket, along with the fact that I think everybody else probably turned him down. Look, here's the issue it's creating for him right now. Yes, she brings a lot of money, but the only way he's going to get on the ballot in a considerable number of states is by running as a libertarian. Now, he's got some libertarian sort of tendencies. This is a small government, civil liberties, just leave us the heck alone type of attitude. But she's not. She's a hardcore progressive left-winger. And I was talking this week to the chairman of the Libertarian Party in this country, the woman who will have a great deal to say over whether or not Kennedy gets a place on the ballots. And what she said was, look, they were kind of okay with Kennedy, but they really did not like the Shanahan woman. So it may prevent him from even getting on the ballot. So come back to the first conversation we had. Money is important in this business, but it's certainly not everything.
And, with that, though, tell us there seems to be an effort by the Democrats to keep Kennedy off of the ballot. Does this show that they're a bit nervous about what he's doing to Joe Biden's numbers?
Third parties in this country typically don't get a lot of traction. You're talking about people who might pull between 4 and 5% of the vote. In an ordinary election, that doesn't change the outcome. In an election that's going to be as close as this one is, it could change the outcome of the election. And keep in mind that you've got a situation now where just a couple thousand votes in Michigan could cost Joe Biden the election. And while Kennedy might pull from Republicans and Democrats, the tradition here is that third parties pull from the incumbent party, regardless of whether that's a Republican or a Democrat. And that's why Democrats are slightly more concerned about Kennedy than the Trump team.
And finally, Mick, just want to ask you about the sad news this week that Joe Lieberman has passed away at the age of, I believe, 82. Fascinating man, the first Jewish candidate for vice president, I believe, and also considered one of just the great, well, to use a term, mensches of American politics and American life. Mick, did you have any dealings with Joe Lieberman? And have we is this an end of an era of that sort of politician who was so loved by so many people?
I hope not. I think we're in a period of time right now where folks like this can't get elected, but there's no reason we can't get back to that. This was a really nice guy. He just was. He was a Democrat, one of the nicest men you are ever going to meet. I remember bumping into him in a bar in Washington, D.C. when I was a new member of Congress, and we sat and talked for 20 minutes. We've worked a little bit more on the No Labels campaign. I don't work for them, but I've advised them on budgetary matters and so forth. And everybody sort of liked Joe Lieberman because he's such a good guy and a great sort of example of disagreeing with people without being disagreeable, and he will be sorely missed.
Mick Mulvaney, amen to that. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next week on the U.S. Report.